After the roaring success of the Avengers, the pressure was all on for the first film of Phase 2 to carry on the franchise's momentum, which ended up being the conclusion to the trilogy that started it all, Iron Man 3. Yes, apparently someone saw Tony Stark pissing into his suit and thought, yes, I want myself some more of that.
Didn't think it could get any worse.
After the release of Iron Man 2, conflicts between Paramount and Disney over the rights to the Marvel characters put the release of a third film into question. However, by October 2010, Disney agreed to pay Paramount an insane $115 million for the distribution rights to the picture, confirming a release date of May 2013. However, Jon Favreau, who directed the first two, decided to pull a Tim Burton on this film, opted out of the director's chair due to scheduling conflicts, to take a producing role instead, and also to play a dumbass who doesn't know how to work an iPad because... funny?
Maybe.
Shane Black was hired as his replacement at the insistence of Robert Downey Jr. as they had worked together on Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. The success of the Avengers gave the producers a whole lot more faith in the project, to the point that they upped the budget from $140 million to $200 million in order to give Black the opportunity to make the best movie possible. Because don't you know, the more money, the better the film!
Not my idea.
Black stated that he didn't want the film to be just another movie about two men in iron suits fighting each other, and wanted the film to be more grounded, avoiding much of the magic and space elements found in the Avengers, and taking a lot of inspiration from the Extremis storyline in the comics. Thank you! Finally someone gets it! Well, Marvel, it took you a while, but now I'm all for it. Finally, after doing the same story over and over again, we're getting something new. Son of a bitch!
Just saying.
The movie shows the story of Tony being traumatized by the events of the Avengers and suffering severe PTSD and anxiety as a result. Meanwhile, a terrorist called the Mandarin is claiming countless lives, and Tony becomes the obvious target. Oh, and Guy Pearce is also in there somewhere. I'll be the obvious bad guy for this picture.
Why am I not surprised?
However, the original draft of the script was very different to what we eventually saw. Firstly, the character of the Mandarin wasn't going to be included, as the filmmakers didn't want to perpetuate the character's reputation as a racist stereotype. However, they were pressured to include him due to the character's popularity among comic book fans. Furthermore, the character of Maya Hansen was originally written as the film's main villain. However, the Marvel executives objected to this, feeling that having a female villain would lead to a loss in merchandise sales, which is why it was eventually shifted to the Mandarin instead. As a result, a lot of the movie's female roles were made much smaller in the final film than in the original drafts.
Misogynist!
In addition, the character of Old Rich Killian, played by Guy Pearce, was only a minor character in the comics, but the movie upgrades him to being the mastermind behind the Mandarin's operations. Despite this, Robert Downey Jr. still pushed for Gwyneth Paltrow to be given more action scenes than in the previous movies, as he didn't want the series to continue to push Pepper into the stereotypical damsel in distress roles, which the producers agreed with. Filming took place between May and December of 2012, and supposedly the original cut of the movie was over 3 hours long, though this was later shortened to just 2. Furthermore, the film had to be heavily edited for Chinese audiences, as they objected to the film depicting Chinese characters as terrorists. Iron Man 3 was released in May 2013 and was another smash hit for Marvel, grossing $1.2 billion worldwide, and was the 5th highest grossing film in history at the time. However, though reviews were still mostly positive, many objected to the film's twist concerning the Mandarin, and though it's generally agreed to be an improvement on part 2, many still felt it didn't quite live up to the original movie. The film does continue the theme of Tony being a prick. I'm just saying, how many redemption stories does he need? How many times is he going to be a dick, then redeem himself, and then be a dick again?
Which happens, dads leave. No need to be a pussy about it. Here's what I need.
So now you're just gonna leave me here, like my dad?
Yeah.
Although it does make me chuckle that it was absolutely fine for Tony to be a womanizing douchebag and to even perv over Natasha, but now that Pepper might be interested in Killian, oh, what a cow! Although initially he doesn't seem to give a shit, which is actually quite funny.
Tell him to go out for a drink or something.
You know what? You should take more of an interest in what's going on here.
But maybe this time he actually has changed. It's a Christmas miracle! Yeah. This is actually a Christmas film.
Dashing through the snow.
It's Christmas.
Did you see your Christmas present?
It's Christmas time. Merry Christmas, buddy.
What would you like for Christmas?
I intend to finish this before Christmas morning.
What would you like for Christmas this year?
It's Christmas in July!
Screwed, it's Christmas.
They introduce a new thing where Tony actually has suits that attach and detach in sections, which is quite a cool addition. There's some comic relief where it naturally hits him in the face and nuts too hard, and then later it brings forth some good comedy when he's trying to summon it but it takes too long. It's a nice thing to add and it stops it being repetitive all the time. It's also a great way to build suspense and tension. It's nice that Iron Man is now a proper celebrity to kids, even if he roasts them occasionally as well.
I loved you in A Christmas Story, by the way.
This is certainly the most human we've seen Tony Stark. He starts to suffer anxiety attacks and is so freaked out by not having confidence all the time. The realization that he isn't actually perfect is quite heartbreaking.
Do you need a plastic bag to breathe into? Do you have medication?
Nope.
Do you need to be on it?
Probably.
Do you have PTSD?
I don't think so.
Are you going completely mental?
Why am I relating to Iron Man?
I can stop. Do you want me to stop?
It's interesting to see Tony this vulnerable. Someone who's normally confident and full of himself, and now he has nothing. It's the perfect redemption arc. This happened in the original, sure, but here someone else is affected. He finally learned to love someone other than himself, and because of his own actions, she is now in danger. It's also interesting to see him figure out ways to survive and fight without his suit, which was a point that Steve mocked him for in the last film, which is some really clever writing. He's worried he'll never get the suit working again, and that's his entire life and identity now.
Why don't you just build something?
I mean, he's got a point. You built a suit in a cave with nothing.
That was selfish and stupid, and it won't happen again.
But I can't help but feel a lot of the film doesn't work, because if Tony is this traumatized, this desperate, this hopeless, wouldn't he just ask the Avengers for help? I understand he has PTSD from the events of the previous movie, so maybe he doesn't want to relive it, but your girlfriend is in danger! And even if you want to use that as an excuse, the fucking president, played by Death by the way, pretty cool, gets kidnapped! This is a pretty big deal, guys! The president is being held captive! Where's Captain America or the Hulk? So even if Tony's too scared to go and ask the Avengers for help, once the president is kidnapped, surely one of them would be like, hey, maybe we should step in.
That makes sense.
Tony sacrifices sleep and obsesses over trying to protect the world, gaining unhealthy insomnia. His relationship with Pepper begins to suffer as a result of it. It is quite sad to see this arrogant douchebag's life deteriorate. I'm genuinely surprised there weren't more people who were fans of this film. And he's also a true badass.
90265. I'll leave the door unlocked. That's what you wanted, right? Fill me.
Bit of a dumbass though. What did he expect was gonna happen? He publicly gave his home address to a terrorist on the news and then is shocked when he gets a terrorist attack. Well, yes, you moron. They weren't exactly gonna just walk in the front door. It's also bullshit that they survived this. Look at it. Nah, them fuckers is dead. He doesn't even have a suit at one point and he's still alive. Nice to see they've copied DC in the ways of creating impossible technology though. Detective got a detective, I guess. The news must work incredibly fast in this universe. Stark is presumed dead and within what, hours there's newspapers printed about it? Still not enough though, because apparently nobody recognizes one of the most rich and famous men in the entire country no matter where he goes. He could just put on a hat and walk around undetected.
Tony Stark is in my van.
Except for that guy. They do give Pepper more to do in this one, but how the hell does she know how to operate the suit instantly? Oh, alright, never mind. Good. But fair play, I really didn't see this coming. Quite sad to see as well.
Shame. I would have caught her.
Jesus Christ, this villain is so cold. But no, it turns out Pepper is alive and somehow has the superpowers Killian has because... Oh, who cares? We've got gods and Hulks in our universe. We can write whatever we want.
Excellent. Good team effort all around. Go us.
But she's now a badass, so fair play. They sure showed those people who felt she was just a damsel in distress. Good on you. But hey, I didn't realise I was in this film, and my performance is spectacular. There's generic cliches occasionally, like Tony getting his ass kicked but not killed because plot, as well as...
We gotta make a decision. We can either save the president or Pepper. We can't do both.
And...
If you're gonna do it, do it.
Whoa, cool your boots, sir. That's not how the Mandarin works.
Maya, there's not much to her. She seeks Tony's help, but then it turns out she's actually helping Killian and the Mandarin. To be fair, it does keep you guessing as you're not sure if she's just going along with them for the sake of her own safety and will double-cross them, or if she genuinely is an evil bitch. And originally, her death was going to be much more elaborate. After Killian shoots and leaves her for dead, she was supposed to drag herself to a computer to erase all the data, only for it to explode and kill her instantly. Though the scene was deleted from the final cut, it can still be viewed online and on the bonus material of the Blu-ray. Her death in the film though is really cold. She pleads for Killian that she's on his side, but he kills her anyway. It's so brutal. Just like Marvel wasting the epic Stan Lee cameo. The fuck is this? Killian is a great villain. Guy Pearce is awesome and he even breathes fire! No idea why he doesn't do this again during the final fight, but it looks cool anyway. Throughout the film, we get vignettes of the Mandarin, and they are so dark and disturbing. They're incredibly powerful and effective, and a nice way to break up the film into sections. He is so intimidating. He threatens to kill someone unless the president calls him, but it's all a ruse just to see if the president is actually watching, and then he kills them anyway. And then after all of this build-up for this intimidating and threatening terrorist, he finally comes face to face with him, and after all this build-up...
Wouldn't go in there for 20 minutes. Now, which one of you is Vanessa?
That's me.
Ah, Nessie. Did you know that fortune cookies aren't even Chinese?
Oh my god. This is fucking ridiculous. It's something out of a parody film. I realise Marvel like to add comedy, but the entire movie's plot is based around this character. He's been the centerpiece, hyped up for over an hour, and then you turn him into big nasty. This is a punchline I would expect from an Ali G film, not fucking Iron Man.
Subtlety's kind of had its day.
But I'm sorry, all of these people falling out of the plane would have easily been dead in seconds. None of them are getting saved. Look how long it takes. And he still manages to save all of them. Unless none of them can swim, then they're all dead. Good job, Tony.
I really appreciate that.
The climax is pretty sick. All of his sleep deprivation was worth it because he managed to build an army of suits that somehow weren't destroyed when his house got bombed. But how are people surviving without a fucking suit? It is hilarious how Tony calls his original suit and then there's all this build up, but then... See, sometimes it works. And Killian is a Terminator, I guess. The final scene in which Tony destroys all the Iron Man suits was actually supposed to signify the end of the character, as Downey wasn't sure whether he wanted to continue playing the role. However, he later renewed his contract with Marvel for a further 5 pictures, making this scene a little redundant.
Still debatable?
I get the feeling Marvel only make the post-credit scenes because they feel like they have to now. Literally, this one just has Tony telling his life story and Bruce is his therapist and is bored. What did that add? What was the point in that? Oh, who cares? Iron Man 3 is fucking awesome! I mean it. I am shocked more people don't love it. Obviously it's not as great as the original, but the character work of Tony is great and that's what really makes it. You do sympathise and care more for him when he's in peril, which is most of the film. Iron Man 3 is an underrated but great start to Phase 2.